There's about 20 minutes left of the morning. I'm about to take the kids to go get some donuts, which is going to be fun. And I thought I'd do a little bit of a vloggy podcast this time. I've seen a couple people do it that way, and I think it looks really fun. I really like the way they do that. So anyway, I, have my first sock here, and I just put the toe on this sock. This is exciting because I will probably get this done today. And that means I'll have another pair of socks to put in my box. Third one for this year for myself. I knit a pair of socks for my son also, but I'm trying to focus more on socks for myself this year. So that's going to be fun. So close. Oh my goodness. And this mini is just so cute. I like it a lot. I have the leftover yarn of the main color already put away. This is a sock advent from Mouse Switch Yarns. And I have, I got the advent for it. So there are 4 skeins with these coordinating minis that come with them. And I am so excited to be halfway through it. My goal was to get them all done within the year. And so I kind of have a goal of getting one sock done a month. And that's been harder than I thought because I make other things and new goals and all the things, but I think it's going to work out. I think I'm going to do it. So hopefully I will get these in the water today. That would be really great. And then I think I'm going to switch my on the go project, because this is something I often take with me. I often take the socks that I'm working on with me in my bag, because if the kids and I are at the library, or actually that's a great idea. We should go to the library today and switch the books. The kids are already done with their books. They're so into graphic novels right now. My oldest is reading the Warriors series. It's like this whole world of cats and these clans of cats. And he finished the first graphic novel for that. And then my daughter was reading the Dogman series, which I think the second book is at the library. It's always funny because you never know what's going to be there, right? Or if you need to put something on hold. So I think that would be a nice surprise for them, going to donuts and then going to the library. That would be nice. So, but anyway, when we're at the library or in a waiting room at the doctor's office or something, I always have something in my bag because you never know. Hi, sweetheart. Okay.
Thanks, Mom.
You're welcome. So I take these with me. I've been taking them with me in my bag, and I just slowly work on it, right? Like there's just one round here, half around there. And it helps a lot, especially with projects that I want to finish, but for some reason am not motivated to finish. Is this sock shorter than the other sock? Guys, if this leg is shorter than the other leg, I'm going to lose it. I think it is. What is happening? What is happening? How is this possible? This has happened 3 times to me with every pair of socks I've made for myself this year. One has been, no, maybe not. Yes, I think it is. Look at that. Why? Why does this keep happening? I am so confused. I think I'm going to have to cut into this pair and make them even if for some reason they're not. I don't know. Okay. I'm going to count the rows, and if they're the same and it's coming out uneven, I'm going to just have to really reflect on my life. Because look at that. They're not the same. They're not the same. Anyway, maybe these socks won't be done today. Okay, whatever. we will try to get them done today, even with this situation. This is so weird. I think I'm just going to have to do them two at a time because this is so strange. Hang on. Hold, please. Okay, this one is 8 rounds shorter than this one. I don't know. I don't know how that keeps happening. I must not be. I don't know. There's some error happening. There's 8 rounds less on this one. I need to write that down. Okay, I use this as like my little scratch pad. This is a notepad that came in 8 rounds. 1 second sock. This is a little notepad that came in Knitting Nakabi's like gothic literature yarn club thing, and I have abused this thing so thoroughly. I love it so much. I have my little wish list of cast-ons, which I already cast one of them on, so I'm going to check that off. But oh, 2 of them on. Yay! I'm so staying on track. But then this was math for my tulip sweater, and this was math for these were math for, this was socks and this was something else. So I just use as much of one page as I possibly can because I absolutely love it. Well, I was going to say I was going to move on to these mittens today, but I don't know if I will be able to. I might do it throughout this week. So I'm going to do this for the ribbing for these because it's so cute and it'll be easy to do, right? All I'll have is the ribbing, so I can kind of do that on autopilot. But then I pulled this out because I want to work on this week too. This is my scrappy hexy blanket, and I don't know why I've hesitated to, I've had the plan to use these 2 colors with this because I think they look really nice together, but I've been hesitating. Oh no, this has been like tangling with this. I've been hesitating to do it for some reason. I don't know if I was waiting to like pick out more colors that would work so I could finish the whole set. There we go. But I don't think I need to do that. I think I can just put them on there, and then as I find more things to match it, I can put those on as I go. But also I could just look at my sock yarn scraps again because I finished a few things since making this one, and so maybe there'll be more that I could put on there. And then these are just little scrappy things from that Advent, and I think it would be really fun to make a pair of socks with them. Also I am thinking about maybe even putting 2 colors together, like ones that are really close, and using those for another hexie for the blanket. I don't know. I think that would be kind of fun, but I need to weigh them to figure out if I have enough to do that. If, you know, together they would make enough to do that. So that's a later in the week project, but I got it out so that I would, you know, have it just at the ready. This is why things are getting tangled. I just take them all and put them like jellyfish in there. But that I'm hoping to get this basket just empty. It's just an Advent that I had really neatly in here, but now that I've used most of it, because I used it for these 2 and they just look so good, but I think I would like to just kind of get this basket into a more stash friendly state. It's just been sitting in there with these, you know, deflated tiny cakes that are just going to turn into kind of this mass of yarn at some point, I think. And there's these tiny bits of wood chips in there. You see that? Tiny bits of wood chips, because my husband started doing a project in our guest room, and he was trying to like kind of scoop my supplies over, but he didn't want to take everything out of there and mess up my organizational system, which was nice. I could see like he was trying to balance, trying to be kind, but still some of my things got some tiny wood chips in there. So it'll probably be nice to like be able to just, if there's anything left, any wood chips left there, that don't worry, I am throwing it onto my carpet because I'm about to vacuum here before we go to the donut shop. So I have 5 of these already, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 of these already, but I think it's going to take like maybe 35 of them to get it to the dimensions I want it to be, and then to join it all with the white ones. So yeah, I'm not concerned about weaving in any ends right now. I've done it with some of them and not with other ones, and that's okay. So I'm going to do that because I've been feeling crochet calling me again. I don't do it all the time, but it does feel really nice sometimes. So I'm going to do that. And there's a meeting tonight that I'm going to be going to. My son is this junior leader for a kids camp that's coming up next month, which will be really nice. And I'm going to be picking up some bags that I'm going to be using for a friend's birthday party. We're going to do like this friends farmers market thing, which I think is going to be really fun. And I thought it'd be nice if everybody like had a bag to put their things in, like huge party favor bag essentially. Stop! Oh, get out of here. It is Mother's Day, It is almost 5 o'clock. If you hear a leaf blower or a mower, that's because my husband has our 4 kids outside working on a project with him. I think he's blowing all of last year's leaves out of the corners so that the grass can grow. I am so happy to just be. I always think of that TikTok sound, enrichment time in my enclosure. I'm so happy to be just like sitting in my room for a second. Last night I took care of my nephew who isn't even 2. And so I expected him to like be waking up during the night, and he didn't, but he talks in his sleep, and so that was really cute. And at the same time, every time he was talking, I was like, oh, okay, you're okay. And I would like go back to sleep. And then I, was getting up and saying hi to the kids, but like it's just kind of a normal day for them, right? I've got little ones. So my youngest is 6 and my oldest is 11. And so there's only so much they can do. They don't have like money, to buy me a present or anything. And normally during Mother's Day or Father's Day, MJ and I like just, bring each other breakfast, and like sometimes we'll have a little gift, but mostly during the day we just give each other more space than normal and like take over more of like the parenting load than we would normally on a Sunday, because we share things pretty well in that department. So all day I've been with these guys while he's been working, putting doors in at his aunt's house. She didn't have a door, and she still doesn't. It was the wrong door, so he got it all on and took it off, and they're returning it, and they've blocked it off and everything until the new door comes in. But with 4 kids, there's just conflict, and it's just the way it is. So I've been working on crocheting some things. I did a couple of hexies, and then I'm doing a couple more things with the leftover yarn. These are just circles that I'm gonna, I think, turn into, like put like granny square around the outside. I think, because I've seen those little tops that have granny squares on the top. I think that would be so cute. And I don't know if that's what I will actually end up doing with these, but I'm going to just make them into these cute little circles until I've decided what I'm going to do, because it uses all of the yarn. It uses all of it. So that means this basket will be empty finally. And I can move on to a different stash managing moment. I feel like I go back and forth between trying to manage my projects and then trying to manage like leftovers or the things that have been in my stash a long time. And those are 2 different activities. When you're dealing with stash, like once I get these into these little circles, then they'll be a lot more manageable than what's in the basket. But now I've started a project, so I want to finish that. I cast on a summer garment last night, barely. It's like just the cast on in a couple of rows. And then I barely cast on this toe for a sock. I'm going to do some toe up socks with the next Mouse Witch socks. And then I brought these in here with me. I don't know if I'm actually going to do much with it. I don't know. But my husband said, would you like to go take a nap after he got home? And I was like, yes. And a lot of times when he asks me if I want to go take a nap, I just say yes, even if I'm not tired, because like the restorative nature of just being able to be alone. Like we have 6 people in our family, and and four, you know what I mean? There are four kids and they just need stuff and they just want to talk to me all the time, you know? I'm their mom, I get it. But him just making space for me to be alone is always so appreciated. Sometimes I tell him like I'm gonna go be alone, and he's like, okay. And but today it's been nice because Mother's Day I think like comes with this kind of inherent um message from maybe society or maybe ad campaigns or something that like, oh, Mother's Day, where we give back to the mothers and it's a whole day for her, you know. And I don't know if that's accurate. Maybe when your kids are older or something. I don't know. But I feel pretty loved because he's doing that. But then also, I got a call from my own mother today. And we both wished each other a happy Mother's Day, and that was lovely, and got to chat for a minute. And then I got a lovely text message from my mother-in-law too. And she's just great. So I said, thank you. And like that, I really appreciate her. So and I've also gotten a couple of happy Mother's Day text messages from friends. And I feel like every time a girlfriend texts me on Mother's Day, happy Mother's Day, I'm like, oh, guys, thank you. It is a big part of my life. So I'm going to sit here and watch some podcasts and restore my faith. Not, I feel like when people say my faith in humanity, but that's not, I think my faith in that my life is going to be just fine. I was almost in tears this afternoon because I was just so overwhelmed with the needs of my children. They were fighting and they were like hurting each other, and they almost never do that. Like it's I don't know, maybe twice a year that they have this day that it seems like they've lost, yeah, they've lost everything that they know. And so they're full of remorse after we talk about it, and they talk about changing, but it basically all morning and afternoon has been a lot of mothering. So I'm gonna sit here and zone out for a while.
Aw,
Yeah, baby.
good night.
Good night, sweetheart. I love you.
We didn't get to finish the Shaolin Bros video. It was just 7. We just had to finish 7 minutes.
Well, maybe after we do school and chores tomorrow, we can finish it since we don't have to go to piano lessons, okay?
I thought we did.
Nope. We had spring recital before, so.
Oh, yeah.
This is my very messy laundry room. I just started our washer, so that's what you're hearing. I just washed my kiddo's shoes, and something my mom taught me that I don't even know why it works. I think I know why it works, but you crumple up paper and you put it in the toes, and then they dry faster. Instead of it taking days and days and days, these will probably be dry by tomorrow. I believe that the water gets absorbed into the paper, and then it's easier for the water to evaporate through the paper. But this shoe will dry days before this shoe will. So I'm gonna stuff my kids' shoes with paper, and then hopefully they'll be dry by tomorrow. These were so covered in mud, so covered. But they're clean now. Okay, let me show you the results of last night. I brought a bunch of stuff to bed with me. But only actually worked on a couple of things. I brought my mouse switch sock with me, which I did not work on. I brought my mitten cuff, which I just got, let's see. I just got like, a round or 2.5 rounds. Basically got it set up so that I can do it without paying too much attention to it. That is great. And then I was thinking about, so I have that baby cast on for my summer tea, which I did maybe 4 rounds on and then put it down the other night, because I realized as I start new projects, sometimes my stash, the way it's organized, or leftovers are organized, I'm looking at it and I'm like, that's just chaos. So then the chaos comes into what I'm working on, and I don't mind. I actually really love making sense out of chaos. I really love puzzles. I really love all of that stuff. So, number 1, finished the Advent leftovers. Let me see if I can, where's the basket? I finished the Advent leftovers. I had just 2 of the full minis left for this. And even though they have sparkle in them, and the other ones probably won't, because I don't think I have any more. I might have one skein that has sparkle in it. It's a West Yorkshire Spinners Christmas colorway, the mulled wine one. But I don't think I'm going to be using that for this. So it's okay that there's not going to be more sparkles on this. So I thought I would be able to take the leftovers and maybe put some similar colors together to, do the other 4, but there was not enough. So I started with this one. You can see these 2 colors are so similar. They just kind of give off a different, see how similar those are? So they just kind of give off a different color, but that's as far as I could get. This is the end of the yarn. This is the end. So I contemplated doing some rounds, like just to finish it off. Maybe even pull out that last round of the purple and move it to this side so that like it would be more balanced. And I very well may still do that for the purple one, depending on what I put on with this one. But I realized if that's what the leftovers are, is just the 3rd round, because there are 4 rounds on the hexie. And the hexie part, you make your corners, right? On the last part. I thought, I bet I could make a square out of this instead, and then I could make one of those t-shirts that have like I think it's called the Getty tee, and it has crochet squares on the top, and then you somehow pick up on both sides and make it into a tee. I think it's the cutest thing. And then here are my Heat Miser, Snow Miser, the little palette for that. And I think it's just so cute. I love it. So then this would be one shoulder, this would be the other shoulder. But I will need to, these might be on the side for a while, because I would need to find a main color and do the math about what I need to do. I looked up the specs for the pattern, and these are supposed to be 4.5 or 5 inches wide, depending on the size you're choosing. So I would probably need to figure out what these are. Without the last round and unblocked, they're 2 1/4. So I might actually need to do 2 rounds of like a border color on it, but that's okay. This is the end of that Advent. So that part of that is kind of closed, and that's okay with me. Like if these stay for a while and we wait to figure out what would be best for that. I kind of switched the location of my projects as well. This used to have my scrappy socks in it, but I noticed that the scraps were getting really messy in there, which is understandable. There were lots of just tiny scraps in there. So I'm going to put my little circles in here. I doubt I will even be able to see them very well, but they'll be protected in there. And then I put my scrappy socks in here, and I started working on just the tiny scraps, the tiny ones, because I have a few bigger ones. Like this is pretty big. This one's pretty big. This one, and this one I think is like 10 grams. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the tiny ones in the socks, right? Like I'm going to put one of these in the socks. And I think the biggest section I have so far is maybe 12 rounds, 16 rounds. 16 rounds is this green. But I like that being like the biggest swath of big color. I think this blue might be close to that as well. More like 12 maybe. Yeah. So this is already a self-striping, this beige to green situation. So I put them both in there kind of along the same line, but they don't look very similar since the colors around them are so different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this tan here and probably follow it up with one of the tiny ones. I have these itty bitty bits of gray that are left over from something. And this is kind of this is this green, and I'd like to put it in the other sock, but for some reason me putting it in the same leg at a different place, I think I want to save it for the foot. So I've been doing that. So trying to organize this, but also, you know, I don't really have enough scraps to finish the sock, which is great. It's great that I can just, you know, go with these for a while and then put them aside and then get some more scraps. So that's what I'm going to do. I already put the tiniest scraps in my jars. I have these like 4 jars full of yarn, you know, tails and things. Like these are the tails from the cuffs that I wove in last night, and I'm going to put them in there. It's pretty big, those jars. Eventually I will knit a few emotional support chickens and use all of them or something, because I think one of those would use a bunch of them. But until then, I have just these tiny little, and I don't know what it is about pinks that I'm just so averse to pinks. Like there's a dark pink in here that's really nice, but really I keep looking at these other pinks and I'm like, no. And what is my problem with pink? I wear pink. My relationship with pink has been somewhat redeemed because I've got a great husband who helped heal my soul a little bit. So, but anyway, still, I even thought to myself, well, what if I make like a pink scrappy pair for my daughter? And I'm like, why can't I put a few rounds of the pinks in here? Why not? Why not? I don't know. My brain is overthinking. So, gonna do that. Put some stuff in here and then just put the big scraps. Just keep the big scraps in here. In here used to be bigger yarns leftovers, but I realized I had that in here, and then I had another one of leftovers that were kind of the same size, but for some reason I was convinced that those were smaller, so they should be in here. So anyway, this is now this like little project basket, which feels good. And then I also pulled out this yarn because I want to make myself a ranger cowl, but I was doing the math last night about whether that would work or not, and I am still unsure. I'm still unsure. But I think I'd like to try it and see. This I think is maybe a wool blend if it's not entirely acrylic. This is from my grandmother's stash, and I got it last year after she passed away, and I've just been kind of looking at it and like that would make a really good cowl. And there's about 300 grams, and the Ranger cowl is pretty oversized, and it's worked on some bigger needles of 5.5 millimeter. I almost said milliliter. So I think it'd be pretty fast too. And it's just a cool pattern. Like it's free, it's Lord of the Rings themed. It's very cool. So I might cast that on. I don't know. It seems like a faster thing. But I have my little planner here, and I'm going to be looking at what I need to do. There's some stuff coming up this next week that we need to do. There's some auditions. My kids want to be in this musical. Winnie the Pooh musical, which is adorable. But I do feel like the chaos that I let into my life over the weekend is still lingering. So I'm going to sit here for a little bit and make my little lists. They're not usually super involved. They're just things that I just want to make sure to keep track of. And yeah, so it helps me a lot to do that, because as I go through the week, sometimes I'm like, what was I gonna do? I was gonna do something, and I get lost in the schedule and kind of lose track of what was important to me during the week. So that's the plan. I have a sewing project I'd really like to start this week. The kids and I don't have as much going on this week, and so like it's May, so a lot of the outside of the house things that we do for school are winding down. So usually on Mondays we go to piano and choir lessons, but they just had their spring recital the other week, so we don't have those anymore. So today we're just at home, which is lovely. I love days at home. But Friday is a big day. Friday I am hosting a birthday party for my friend. My oldest son has an orthodontist appointment. I'm just going to be out all day. And yeah, so there's that. But mostly this week I'm at home. So that means that I like using downtime to just do the things that would help when we're busy. So cleaning the house a little bit more, like getting the laundry room, like getting through more laundry, things like that, where there aren't as many hiccups to our lives because we've used the downtime to prepare for the busy times. So, and it's nice because it's not as stressful prepping for those. You're just like, if I didn't get that load of laundry done before I went to bed, then whatever, I'll do it tomorrow. It'll be waiting for me tomorrow. But I am going to do just 30 minutes of knitting, and as I'm knitting, just write down what I'm thinking about this week, and maybe even pull up a podcast while I do. I give if I could live out of these waters?
Mom, we're in the
What would I
video.
pay? Yep. To spend a day warm on the sand. Bet you on land they'd understand, but they don't reprimand their daughters. Does that happen?
No.
No. Bright young women, sick of swimming, ready to stand and ready to know what the people know. Don't touch the drill. Asking my questions and get some answers. What's a fire and why does it? What's the word? Burn. When's it my turn? Wouldn't I love to explore that shore above, out of the sea. Wish I could be part of that. And I have to reach like her. Very good. Hi. So I just dropped off the big kiddo. He's supposed to be a junior leader at this summer camp in a few weeks. And so I dropped him off and got to see my Zoom friends for just a second. A lot of them live in England and Scotland, and so there's this, knitting Zoom group that welcomed me in, I don't even remember, a few years ago. And I'm such a lurker in the chat. I don't always check it super often, because there's a lot going on. But by the time I've caught up on things, sometimes they're over. So it was nice to see them just for a second. Right here it's almost 6, but that means it's almost 11 there. So all of them were tired and not feeling good, but it was good to see them for just a second. And I wanted to show you, I finished my scrappy socks the other day and woven the ends, blocked them. They are completely done. They're already in the box. Oh my gosh, so exciting. Then I immediately cast on these, which are, I finished the second toe this morning. And I put, they're so cute. I normally do cuff down socks, but the toe up socks, the toes are just adorable. I just think they're so stinking cute. So cute. So I obviously have some matching yarn going on here, not quite the scrappy situation I had before. I have the same main yarn, the gray yarn that I had with the scrappy pair, but I added a strand of lace weight mohair to them. I have another pair of socks that the toes are like that, and you can kind of see the speckles. Kind of. Can you see them? So cute. I'm doing the Bird of Prey socks. I always want to call them the Birds of Prey socks, but it's the Bird of Prey socks by Maradiddle Makes. And I test knit these socks, oh gosh, a few years ago. And I did the smallest size and knit them for my son at the time. And now they belong to my youngest daughter. So just finished the light purple for both of these, and it's just, they're so cute. Excuse the weed eating back there. And right now, this is not on purpose either. The way that this yarn, which by the way I think is from Freckled Whimsy, I believe, it's just the way that this stitch rhythm goes is exactly with the stripes. I chose this because I wanted the colors to like overlap each other, you know, like for this to go up here, but it accidentally is just matching up exactly. So that's really funny. And I think if that continues, I'm just going to put in the shadow wrap heel for the heel, and then it'll just continue like that the whole way. Like, because when does that happen? When does that ever happen, that the slip stitches just line up exactly with the stripes? That's so funny, and it's not on purpose. And in fact, because it's showing up this way, that it's very satisfying, but it's not what I was thinking it would be when I started them. So I might need to do another one to like see if I can see what I was hoping to see. I don't know. Right now it is 6:15 and the boys are supposed to get out of the meeting at 7 o'clock. So if I sit here for 45 minutes, I'm going to try and see. I've been a little bit obsessed with these since last night. I finished weaving in the ends and I put the other socks on the blockers and I immediately cast the toes of these on. And I'm going to see in 45 minutes on one of the socks how many stripes I can get done. I think that would be fun, especially now that I'm through the purples. It gets a little more contrasty. There's a couple of beiges here, but then it goes to red and pink and blue, and so that's really fun. So I'm gonna watch a podcast and we'll see how far I get. Look at how well these are doing now that the birds aren't digging them up anymore. This is a mulberry bush that is accidentally growing behind this platform bed, but I'm letting it be there. And those are potato plants and carrots and spinach. And I think that's all that's going to grow this year because the birds were digging all around in here earlier. But then a friend of mine gave me this shiny stuff to put up here, and it's kind of blown off some of it. I need to tape it with something stronger probably, but I just scotch taped it on there. But these are doing pretty well. It looks like we've got 3 spinach, lettuce plants and several carrots. And then this guy isn't supposed to be in here, so we'll take him out. And then these potato plants are doing very well. They just flowered the other day, so that probably means we should harvest them in August or so. Very excited. Look at how big these leaves are. Look at them. They're doing so good. 21st already. It is the end of the month. And oh my goodness. Oh, this has been great. Okay, so I wanted to show you, I finished this one. This is the Newton vest that I was working on. This is all that I had left of the Flammacare in color. I'm really glad that I made it. I wanted to try the Stockholm vest, and I felt like trying it with leftovers was a lot less precious than taking a color that I really love and like it not working out so well. And I'm really glad I did, because this is definitely wearable. I'm going to wear it this fall and winter. I really like it. I obviously ran out and I put this pop on the, not even really a pop, kind of contrasty, I guess. I feel like people say a pop of color when it's like brighter or neon or something, but whatever. I can have my own neutral pop if I want. It looks brown, but it's actually like more purpley. And so purpley brown, I guess. I would say if I'm going to make it again, and I don't know that I will. I think I might switch to making I'm really interested in making the flock vest by Andrea Mowry. I think that like a cardigan vest sounds like a really great choice for me. But this one, I think if I did make it again, I would do some bust darts in the front just to bring this down so it's even. For what I want to use it for, actually it coming up a little bit in the front helps, because I like the way that works with an outfit and my belt and stuff. But I think if I ever did it again, I would do the, like, if I wanted to do a different version, I would do more positive ease and I would do some bust darts so that it would even out on the bottom. I was thinking about doing a split hem, and I might still do that because this is such like, when it comes to non-superwash, this is like on the other side, right? So if I wanted to cut into this and felt it, it would be really easy to do. The point in the front, I really like the way that turned out, and I found a way to do, it's like a faux Italian bind off that you do just with knitting needles. It's not a sewn bind off. So that was really nice, because I had done about half of the back of this armhole. So I don't know if you can see a big difference. Can you see a big difference between like here and the rest? You can kind of tell where I started here. And I will say it's not as stretchy as an Italian bind off, the faux one, but I am okay with that. I feel like this having some structure here is a good thing. The only thing, I kind of wish I had done a knitted bind off on the bottom so that it wouldn't necessarily be stretchy, but it would be, maybe I could have done like the yarn over one, so it adds some stitches and it would be straight, but at least it would be straight. Like with this, it kind of curves in, and I can feel that on my body. So it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just unexpected. I tried it out a couple of times and I really liked it. I really liked the way it looked. I really liked the way I was warmer. Actually, halfway through the day that I wore it with pants, I had to take it off because I was getting really warm. And now we're in like 80-degree weather. There's no reason for me to be wearing this at all. But it was very nice in the morning for a little bit. I really liked it. It's very cute, and even though I only got to use it for a second, I'm going to be really happy with it, I think, in the fall when I bring it back out. These mittens are somewhat finished. I'm going to call them finished for now because I haven't decided if I'm going to line them. They are a little bit, I would say the fabric is not as cushy as I was hoping. I wish I had sized down my needles, but by the time I noticed that the fabric was not quite what I was hoping for, I was already halfway done with the mitten, so I did not do that. And I might line them. I might still line them. The shape is a little different, but I do think it's cute how round this mitten is, the top of the mitten is. There were so many ends to weave in on this, but the only thing I needed to finish this month was the ribbing. And I did do a double fold, like I folded it over, so it's a double layer one. And I was hoping that when I soaked them that this yarn would bloom a lot. It doesn't look gappy, but when I put it on my hands, I can like see through the stitches to my hand, and I'm almost positive, like I know the wind is going to get through that. So they're very cute, and maybe they're just like, you know, early fall mittens for now. But if I lined them, I know they would be much more functional for me. So I'm going to leave them out for a little bit and see if I gather the motivation to do that. I also want to use the rest of the yarn from this set for some fingerless mitts. So who knows, maybe I'll do those first and then come back to this, but they are done for now. I'm not going to pack them away with all the fall and winter stuff that I just, you know, refreshed and putting away. I'm going to leave it out just in case the moment strikes me. Now, I was going to take a break from the mouse witch socks, right? But instead of taking a break from socks altogether, there are lots of socks that I've wanted to work on. In fact, there are still more socks that I want to work on. I'm probably going to keep going with, I don't know what I'm going to do in June. Who knows? I'm not going to make any promises about which socks I'm going to work on. All I know is that these scrappy ones are done. These are great. I still have some scraps left. I just have this little bit left. So I have a bunch of leftovers in fingering weight yarn, but these are like the ones that are like less than 30 grams probably, maybe less than 20. I don't know about this one. This one might be upwards of 20, but the rest of them are less than that. So this is so these are all just, you know, little leftovers. I didn't use all of the I used some of this in them, both of these. I used some of this pink in there, but I didn't go through and like just use them until they were done. A lot of them I did though. If I didn't necessarily want to have huge chunks in these. I think the biggest chunks I did were like 16 rounds or something. So you can see I did this multicolored one here and then did it here too. So those are these, but almost all of them I used the very last bit of them, and that is so satisfying when you can make socks out of just little bits. That's so nice. Of course, this had a bunch of ends to weave in as well, but it was really, they're just so cute. And I am keeping them for me for now. I don't know if they will always be for me. The heels, toes, and cuffs are a Sweet Georgia yarn that I got in an Advent. It was like the main color there. And I think I'm going to use it for heels, toes, and cuffs until it runs out. It's a really nice, soft yarn, and it's just, it matches the weight of the commercial, not just commercial, but like the hand-dyed yarns normally. There are some like Patton's Croy leftovers that I have, but those are more of a sport weight thing, and so they're kind of their own thing. So that has worked out really well. I did a 64 stitch count on a US 1 sock needle, and I always do, if I'm doing my toes cuff down, I do a 2x2 rib, and when I cast on, I'll do 2 long tail stitches and 2 twisted German stitches, and 2 long tail stitches and 2 twisted German stitches, because I feel like it makes it so that, now I've blocked these, so it's not going to go in like it normally does, but like it goes, the ribbing goes in even at the top with the cast on, and that's really nice. This is the Hermione's Everyday stitch pattern. I just really like how that looks. I do it all the time. for different socks, and I was feeling like something that had a little bit of interest, but I wouldn't have to necessarily follow a pattern for it, even though the Hermione's Everyday pattern is a free pattern, and like there's instructions and all of those things, but like the stitch pattern is not hard to memorize, so that was nice. I obviously did my tread heavy sole on this one, and the heel flap and gusset version, I have videos on how to do that on my channel if you're curious about it. And yeah, these are going in the box with the rest of the socks that I've finished. And then, believe it or not, I finished another pair of socks. These are so sweet, and I said it wrong. When I was talking to you earlier, I said it wrong. This is not the Hobbit colorway. I did knit the Hobbit colorway before, and I don't think I must not have had any leftovers, or maybe I used them in something else. I have no idea. But this is the Advent colorway from Freckled Whimsy, which is not at all, the same. Like, of course, they're both self-striping colors, but it's not the same as the Hobbit colorway. And I only found that out because I was wrong because I looked up the Instagram post I did about the Hobbit socks, and the colors are not the same. I was trying to gauge like how many stripes I would get in the leg, because these are toe up. I was trying to figure out how many stripes I would get in the leg, and I pulled up the picture and I was like, oh, that's not at all these colors. So I remembered this is actually the Advent colorway. So I did make some Advent socks with this yarn. There's 24 stripes. And so with the 100-gram skein, I was able to get a pair of socks that I did in I think the fairground pattern, but they were too small for me. I didn't realize the fairground pattern I need to size up for, because there's like increases and decreases, and my decreases must have been too tight. It was too hard to get them on. So there's normally 24 stripes, so that you can knit a stripe a day for the Advent. It's a really cute idea. But I used 24. Actually, the last of the Hobbit socks colorways are in here. This beige and green, that's the last bits that were left from the Hobbit colorway, because I made some socks and they were a little bit too big for me, so I gave them to my brother. Then I made some socks for my sister's baby out of the leftovers, and then I just had that little bit left. So that is the end of the Hobbit colorway, actually. And this Advent colorway, I did actually, the reason I started it with the mohair in the toes is because that's what I did with my original pair of Hobbit socks, because Hobbits have hairy feet, and I thought it'd be really cute for them to be fuzzy. I put a mohair in here called I don't have the brand. The colorway name is Butterfly Kisses. So it's like a pink toned one, and it has all these speckles in it, and I put it with the Sweet George yarn that I used on the other socks. I held those together for the toes and the heels. Now this pattern is called the Bird of Prey socks by Maradiddle Makes. I did a test knit for that pattern years ago, and the pair of socks that I knit for my oldest son, who's now 11 and cannot fit his feet into those socks, his littlest sister wears them now. It's so cute. They've worn really well. Sorry about that motorcycle. They've worn really well, and I have always thought like, oh, I'd really like a pair of those myself. So because I knit the small size for the test knit because I knew they would fit my kid. But these are wonderful. I'm really excited about them. I was hoping that the yarn would, these little wings on here, I'll show you. So they're toe up socks, right? And at the beginning with the toe, I was doing my little tread heavy ball of the foot section here. But that meant that the way that the wings were going, it was exactly how the stripe colors were going. And then once I stopped doing, a little bit after I stopped doing the slip stitches, then it started like then it started changing a little bit, like the stripes were overlapping each other. And that's what I was hoping for from the beginning. I wanted the stripes to kind of overlap. So for probably, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. For the first 7 stripes, it didn't do that. And I thought, okay, well, if it does this the whole time, I guess that's fine. Like, it's kind of a cool accidental thing, but that's not what I was planning for. Yeah. And then this actually would not have happened had I followed the pattern correctly. But on one of the sides here, I forgot to pull my stitch over. So you can see on this yellow stripe right here, that little edge of the wing is not there. And then it kind of messed up when these ones ended up here. So I just continued the little wings into the ribbing, and I think that's fine. I used up as much yarn as I could, and then I ended with that gray that's also in the heels and toes. There were only 23 stripes in these socks because I must have used 20, I think I used 25 for the original socks that I did, the fairground socks I did. So I added this gray one on there just to make it 24. And they're very cute and they fit really well. And I'm glad I did the mohair, even though it was supposed to be like representative of Hobbit story stuff, because I have been reaching for my socks with mohair in the toes. I only have one pair of socks with mohair in the toes, and I did them just kind of as an experiment because my daughter was saying that the socks that I knit her with mohair in the toes were itchy for her. And I thought, like, is that just a her thing, or would I not like that either? I love it, actually. I don't knit them for her. I've only done that once before, knitting for her with mohair in the toes. I will never do that again. But I loved it. And in fact, when my toes are pretty cold, which honestly happens even in the evening with the air conditioning here, if I'm just sitting and watching a podcast, like I'm not moving around, I'm just sitting and knitting, and sometimes for a few hours, and my toes will get really cold, so I'll put on my mohair socks and my mohair toe socks, and that is like the most effective way to warm up my feet. If I wear my mohair toe socks in my shoes, sometimes they are a little too hot, even in cold weather, and then my feet like get sweaty, and that's not great. So I think the mohair toe socks are just for like cold toes in a mostly non-shoe environment. I don't know. I'm still experimenting with it, but I think these are great. These were also 64 stitches. I did a Judy's Magic cast on, and then I normally do a rounded toe with my cuff down socks, but with these I just do every other for a wedge toe. I like the little yarn over, and then you resolve the yarn over by twisting the stitch increases. I think those are really easy to keep track of. But then with these heels, I do an inch of slip stitches, and then the earth tone, nope, that's the channel that I watched the tutorial on. The heel is called the Shadow Wrap heel, and Denise of Earth Tones Girl has the best tutorial about that. And then I do that, but this time I didn't even have to look up the tutorial, guys. That's the first time that's ever happened. I was so proud of myself. And then I do another inch of slip stitches on the back, and then I was just going round and round. It's a mostly vanilla sock. I really liked having that, like not having to think too much about it. I honestly just put a stitch marker in front of where the wing stitches would be so that I could feel when I got there and just pay attention for those few stitches in the front, and then keep knitting around and around on the leg. That was really fun. And I like the stripy cuff. That's fun too. So those are the finished objects that I have for May. And I was thinking about if there were any other works in progress that I started in May. I did cast on a summer top, but like it's maybe 4 rows, and I'm still not even committed. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue on with it. I have no idea. Still thinking about that. And then also with when I went to my sister's house, I brought a couple of things with me. And I thought I would get through them, but I think I'm just going to be like nudging them into June. So one is the mouse switch socks. I was just going to cast on the cuffs. So I got one of them cast on the drive. This is just 20 rounds of 2x2, like I said, how I cast on for a cuff down sock. I think I'm going to do all the mouse switch socks cuff down. But I haven't decided what I want to do. I kind of want them all to be textured socks, but I haven't decided what I want to do for these. So I'm going to do the other cuff because I know what I want to do with that. And then I'm just going to figure out when I figure out what I want to do, I will do that eventually. But those will be ready. And then I was also just going to cast on another set of cuffs for the next set of scrappy socks. I don't normally knit a bunch of scrappy socks, but honestly, I have more scraps than I normally do. Heaven's sakes. What in the world? There's so much down here. There we go. I also edited, oh no. I also edited my brother-in-law's socks. He had socks that I made him, and I just finished the second one actually on the way home. So I'm going to give that to my sister this week because she'll actually be in town dropping off some stuff and doing day camp with us and everything this summer. But I'm going to cast on for the next scrappy pair of socks with my Sweet Georgia. There might be like 50 grams left of this now because I've used it for the heels, toes, and cuffs of at least 2 pairs of socks now that I just showed you, but also I kind of have been using it in little things. If I need like a neutral thing, I'll just kind of pop this in there. So I've really been enjoying it. It feels really nice. It's a cool tone gray, light gray, and I really like it. I think I'm actually gonna do a provisional cast on so I can do an Italian bind off for the socks. That's what I did with my bird of prey socks. I did a 1x1 rib and then I did an Italian bind off, and I know for some people the Italian bind off is not worth it, but for me it's worth it. Number one, I really think it's tidy and really nice and really pretty, but also there is not another bind off that I get the same amount of stretch from that looks as nice. So it's worth it to me. And I have it's a grafting technique, right? And so I have that memorized in my head, so it's easy to do. So anyway, I might even just do a provisional cast on, knit the cuff, and do an Italian bind off, and then, pull out the provisional and knit the other way, because my Italian bind off is way tidier than my cast on, but they are socks. But even with it being there's 2 benefits. One, I don't have to do the Italian cast on. That one I find to be, I lose track of where it's only 2 stitches. But I lose track a little bit of where which way the knit and purl go. And then also it really is, you're just twisting it, right? So the way you sort it out is on the next round. And I've done it many times before, but it just really does take a lot more focus and brain power for me. So even though doing the provisional cast on might take a little more time, it takes less brain power. So I think I'm going to do it anyway. I have some socks I want to work on. I have other woolly things that I've cast on for the fall, but I just don't know. I just don't know what I'm going to do about that. I'm glad I cast them on. I'm glad that I've been working on them. So really, because of the hexies I showed you earlier that I did in the month, and the scrappy socks and the leftovers from the Advent yarn and the leftovers from the new to invest from the November jacket. I've just really been doing some leftovers and scraps management this month, and that has actually been really nice. I really enjoy that. I really like when things are being used up. I really like when there's less just stuff, and then I can kind of open a new colorway and start a new project with not so many leftover things. So I'm going to look around in here as I do when I review things with you, because all my whips are over there in the corner from 2025. And I'm going to see what I want to address. I know I will regret not addressing my dad's cardigan if I wait too long to do that before January, because to finish it before January, because that's his birthday and I've been wanting to get it done for his birthday for 2 years. So I do want to do that, but there are just some other ones over there that I think would be either faster to finish up, or because they're smaller, or I do have, I think, one more big whip that's not a blanket from 2025. It's the Go-Go Dynamo shawl. And I think that would be fun to actually have finished because it's really big and I think it would be nice to have. And it's also fingering weight, so it shouldn't be that bad to work on, even though it's getting really hot. We'll see. The summertime knitting goals that I have are so different than the cold weather knitting goals that I have. I am inspired by socks. I love knitting socks. I also love garments, but like I'm not as motivated to do garments. As soon as the fall hits, I want to cast on every sweater under the sun. But right now, I think I'm motivated to do socks and just kind of look through the whips and see if there's one that I want to address this month. Who knows? Maybe I'll finish that one and address another one. But mostly what happens is I address one and I finish it, and then I cast on something else, which is exactly what I did this month. The mittens were a new cast on with my birthday yarn. The New to Invest was a cast on from last month that I finished because I wanted to use up the rest of that yarn. The Scrappy socks were a project from 2025. So that was a whip from last year that I did choose to focus on. And then the Advent socks weren't a whip. They were just yarn that has been wound up and sitting in a bag for, oh gosh, over a year, because I did those were 2024 Advent socks. So I planned on at some point casting those on. So that's nice. That's nice that all of that is done. And we'll see what happens next, because who knows? Who knows what's going to happen next? I have no idea. There's so much happening tomorrow that I need to go now because the sun is down and I need to prepare for an early morning. And this has been fun, the vloggy kind of way of doing things. I might do it again next month. That's it for today, because tomorrow's June 1st. And I'll see you later.